I'm Chief Gerald Smith, Richmond Police Department. And this is really our quarterly second quarter crime briefing. And if you've got your calendars out, then you can already do the math and realize that we are a little bit early with our crime numbers, but we will be giving out the final crime numbers later. I decided to do this crime briefing a little earlier because there have been some indications about our crime and that crime and safety here in Richmond, and I think that we should give you a perspective on that, the total perspective of how it looks, and that lets Richmonders know that they are safe here, all right? So that's why we're here early today. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started, and we're going to cover some other things as well, too. So I would like to thank my staff for being here and for all the hard work that they've been putting in. They've put this together really quickly, but it's top quality. Typically, they were thinking at the end of the month or beginning of next month they had time, but they did this very well. All right, so let's go ahead and start. All right, this is our second quarter homicide rates. We're going to start looking at these here and giving you an idea of where we are with the second quarter in homicide rates. These are the numbers that are up. People are looking at these. Right now, I believe that we're up of a difference of 4 total overall. But if you can see, this is where we want you to see the perspective of what's going on with crime here. Homicides, we've had, so far this quarter, we've had 13. You take a look going back to 2020, and 2020 I am going to refer to, and I believe that many will refer to as the asterisk year when you start doing comparisons. And it's not really a fair comparison because that year had an effect on so many things. But if you take a look going back to 2019, 18, 17, and 2016, this gives you an idea of where we are when it comes down to our homicides and how the way that we are trending. This is for the second quarter. You take a look here for the year, and once again, we take a look at this overall for the year. We ended up in, right now in 2021, we have a total of 26. All right, take a look at that over the years that we had. Starting in 2016, we had 23, 17, 26, 18, 22, 25, year to date 19, and of course the asterisk year, which was the lowest at 21. And those are the numbers that we are comparing to. We compare our numbers to last year where we are, but when we take a look at this with a holistic view, this gives you an idea of where we are and the way we are trending. Take a look at rape, or what I would like to talk about is, I refer to as sexual assault. For the quarter, we are way down. We matched these numbers back in 2017. 2000, looking at the asterisk year, they were up where the norms are up here. But right now you can see, and sexual assault is also a violent crime, which is down for the quarter. Looking at it for the year, it looks like we are, once again, 2016 is right where we are, but you can see the other numbers here going back through and how it compares to where we are today and where we were in the past. Robbery, here we are for the quarter. Our robberies are slightly up as compared to the asterisk year of 2020. It's 54 against 48, but then if you look behind us and all the other years, our robberies were significantly up in past and previous years there. And then we're going to also come back to the robberies and talk about some of the causes of our robberies that we are seeing today, the patterns, trends that we are trying to disrupt and address. Overall, for the year to date, here we are at 144 for the year. Year to date, last year at this time we had 126, but as you can see we were far ahead in other years. Right now when you start to take a look at robbery, and robbery is also a violent crime indicator. All right. This here, you guys, I'm pretty sure you saw this. This was put out by our PLL department. Very good work. This is shoplifting and robberies, and you may be asking yourself, what is the connection between shoplifting and robberies? All the police professionals who are in the room and are hearing this, they understand what the connection is. The connection is that many shopliftings turn out to end up categorizing or going over into the robbery category. And when such things as this happen, when someone goes into a store, they shoplift an item and a clerk will approach them about the act that they just committed. Would you like to give that back? You need to give that back. You can't take that. You did not pay for that. And that person indicates some kind of weapon or indicates that they are willing to use some kind of physical harm or aggression towards the clerk. This is where I stop and give praise and give recognition to all the clerks and all the employees that we have around the city that have been faced with this same incident, because majority of them are not continuing with the engagement. They are backing off and they're calling the police to handle the situation. Sometimes people show a weapon, sometimes they indicate they have a weapon, or they're just willing to just go to blows for what they're doing. And our clerks, they've done a very good job in actually backing off and letting the incident be handled by the police. But you guys should have gotten this one back on the 28th. This one here went out, it's on the Richmond Highway. This one took place on Hull Street. All right. Aggravated assault. Here we are. This is the second quarter. Second quarter, we're up 123, but as you can see, the previous years, in the asterisk year, we were way down. And here it is year to date. Am I correct? Yes, year to date, 240. And this is where we start talking about, and we've talked about this before, with the reasons that we have our aggravated assaults are going up and overall crime is going up when violent crime is concerned. As you can see, we're not the top, but there are other years that we actually exceeded that. It looks like you would have to go back to 2016 to come up with a year to match that number. Only the asterisk years where we were lower. Next slide. Violent crime for the second quarter. This is overall violent crime. 196 compared to these other years, 213, 246, 230, 205. And of course, then you have the asterisk year, which is 153. And year-to-date violent crime, it shows the same pattern. We're doing quite well compared to previous years, except for 2020. Arson, once again, this is an indicator of what the asterisk year does and what it tells us. As you can see, these are the second quarter numbers. We have had 5 so far this year, but in 2020 we had 22, and of course I don't think that deserves an explanation of where those numbers came from. That was the civil unrest that we saw. And of course, year to date, it shows the same pattern. It shows a great job. I think Chief Carter and the fire department actually have gone door to door and helping out, talking to people about the use of fire, smoke detectors and everything else here previously. So it looks like some of that work is paying off. I can't speak for him. I'll let him, but I do know he's been doing those efforts as well. Burglary shows the same pattern as well. This is for the quarter. We're down. Of course, these are property crimes, which are way down. For year-to-date burglary as well, be hard-pressed to find year-to-date. We have to go back even further. Of course, once again, the asterisk year, 467. We saw that go up during the COVID. And when COVID went up, commercial burglaries go up. We saw those burglaries go up as well, too. Our larcenies are up. Well, larcenies are actually down, but our larcenies are up all over for the second quarter for the previous years. Year to date, our larcenies are down. Motor vehicle theft, here we are again. For this quarter, we are trending, looks like we're trending with other patterns from years back. And then you have overall year to date, but year to date we are down. Okay, property crimes for the second quarter, we're down. And of course, year to date, we're down as well with property crime. Okay, major crimes as well too. That is the overall crime. Of course, we are down. Actually, overall, those numbers look like we're very closer to the asterisk year than the other years itself. So there we are. Okay. You know, I jumped right into the slide presentation, and I know my PIO staff and everyone, they wanted me to, and I really just started talking about the reimagining efforts that we've done. We'll come back to maybe some of the crime. Well, nope, this is where they put it. Sorry, thank you. Okay. Reimagining policing and some of the efforts that we have done. These are just some of the efforts that we are doing. And may I say that, I'm just going to say that this work in reimagining is not, there's no end to this. We continue to work on these objectives. We continue to seek community involvement and talking about how we can get better. But this is where we start, but we will continue our efforts with reimagining. But this is some of the phenomenal work that we have done thus far with reimagining policing or reimagining public safety. We've encouraging accountability. I've developed the Office of Professional Accountability. We've done business cards with names, precincts, spaces for report numbers on it. Such a small thing could have a huge impact. We are starting to roll those out as well. We updated our use of force policy, de-escalation, training, and also we have a De-Escalation Award as well. De-Escalation Award is something that is a low-hanging fruit that I believe that we've missed so long in policing, where we actually recognize officers who successfully utilize de-escalation techniques. Something that we have added and something that we continue to do. And it's something that officers should be recognized for. We have updated and continue to update our philosophies and values, or RPD, and our duty to intervene as well. Reimagining Policing, and here we are, creation of a new community engagement opportunities. I created the External Advisory Committee, the Richmond Community Academy, which I am extremely excited about right now. That work is ongoing at this time. The concept behind that is that the state sets minimal standards for what it is to be a police officer here in Richmond, and that our officers, quite often when they come through the academy, they reach those minimal standards and exceed those minimal standards. However, Richmond Community Academy is going to be part of the academy where we actually bring the community in so that the community can say, this is how I like to be policed. This is the history of Richmond. This is the history of my neighborhood. This is how you engage. This is how we communicate. This is what we do when we go above and beyond so that we can start to make that connect within. And that work is going on, and there are quite a lot of people who are jumped in on that from all over Richmond who are willing to jump in to help with that effort to make sure that we get it right. And I'm proud to say that we started this work some time ago. There are some other agencies across the country who seem to have jumped the gun on us. They're doing certain things like this, but I'm not sure if I have come across anyone yet that's actually going and making this a part of the training regiment for their new hires coming into the organization. Cultural Awareness Liaison. We've created a cultural liaison for the Asian American and Pacific Asian. Am I correct? Yep, and she happens to be in the room. We are creating a liaison corps, if you would, of liaisons that will reach out to populations within Richmond to actually have a connection within Richmond, and that we can connect with them about their issues, concerns, and so that we can be together on many topics. And what I'm thinking now, and this is a thought that's coming through my head, is that ICYS does a great deal of that kind of work. However, this is just an enhancement of what they do. And I will give a shout out to our Captain Minton, who has headed that up and does a great job in reaching out to other cultures and communities, as well as all officers who do that every day. The DCJS Courageous Conversations, which we have been part of, where we actually sat down with people who were actually just had concerns about policing and making it better, and we just dropped all pretenses, and we had some serious conversations about what it is that they thought policing was doing wrong and what we could do better. And in fact, I believe a lot of those conversations, through those conversations, the work for our Richmond Community Academy has been enhanced through those conversations as well. Reevaluating training practices, community-based training model, encouraging civilian feedback on language, demeanor, cultural awareness. Initiatives. We have done some recent walkthroughs, and here are some pictures that were taken. I believe they're coming up. Well, these are the ones that are coming up here. But we have this is part of our also crime fighting initiatives of what we're going to be doing, and I'll explain that in a minute. Recent walkthrough through neighborhoods of within the community and agency partners with us. Gilpin, 25th Street Corridor, Wickham, Fairfield. Upcoming walks, I believe that was up there as well too. We're going to have walks on the 23rd, the 28th, the 25th, and the 22nd. And look for us and look for RPD in your community very soon. We participated in Southwood Field Day in May with the city and regional partners, outreach to community and neighbors and kids. Mounted Unit was there, was a big hit. We had food, fun, smile, and connections, community collaborations. We continue to work and are always here as a collaborative effort with the CRB task force. The safety initiatives that we have, we are asking now, I'm sorry, I've skipped over here into the next thing. Some of the safety initiatives that we wanted to talk about is that we continue to ask that, and I did this once before, talking about securing your firearms in your vehicles. And if I'm looking at my PIO here in just a second, I believe that was our first quarterly briefing, crime briefing, that we talked about that. That continues to be an issue, but now it's taking on more of a regional concern. Now we have Henrico, Chesterfield, Hanover Sheriff's Department, Goochland Sheriff's Department, all on board with that. I think the best quote that I've heard, and when we talk about securing your guns in your vehicles, is that your armrest is not a lockbox. Please get yourself a lockbox. Get yourself, or either just remove your weapon from your vehicle. You don't want that weapon or that to end up in the hands of a criminal. And for God's sakes, we don't want that gun to end up in the hands of a child. All right? If it's unsecure, the child can get his hands on the gun as well too. All right? Now, some of the things I talked about is where we're going to go for the summer, and talk about violent crime. Violent crime is on the increase throughout the country. And we are looking at three things that the reason for the increase in violent crime throughout the country. Number one is the proliferation of guns. That ties back to what we just talked about with guns in your car. If you are a gun owner, please secure that gun. Don't have that gun come up to be a part of a crime. Number two is the pandemic in itself. All right, the pandemic in itself and the effects that it has had on citizens near and far has just been tremendous. People have short tempers, people are upset. It has put economic strain on people, it has put worry and anxiety in people, and people are just have quick fuses, and we are seeing a quick increase in people taking violent action to solve their problems. And that has also affected, and I've said this before, affected our youth even more. And we take a look at the crime, especially here in Richmond, we are seeing the effects of that on our kids. The kids are the ones who are affected the most, and they are also seeing that sharp increase of them being not only participants in violent crimes, but victims of violent crime. The third is the one that we were just talking about with our initiatives, going out into the people, and what we need to do moving it forward, not only this summer, but continuously, is that there is because of the social unrest, people are just not calling the police like they used to. And that is on us to actually start to increase our trust and legitimacy in the community. And as you can see with our walkthroughs, we will even do that if we have to go door to door. That is a grassroots effort that we are doing amongst other things that we're doing. Now that the state and now that the country is starting to open up again, we can actually start to interact with people even more, face to face. I would also encourage that anyone who would be willing and wanting to come out and walk and talk with us on one of these walks, to please come out and do it. And I'll just share one story with you, and it's very extremely beneficial as we start to open up. Our last walk, it was great. Went to an apartment and there was a little girl there, and she was excited, not only excited that the police were there and having a conversation with us, but she told us that she will be going to school next year and that she can't wait to go to school and make new friends. And she was actually entering pre-K. So she wasn't first grade, but pre-K. This is truly her first venture into school. And when asked what school she goes to, she looked up to her mother with those eyes, and the mother says, well, I don't know yet. I haven't had a chance to talk to someone. I'm not quite sure how. So she, with being so insulated and inside, she didn't quite know where to start, where to get her daughter in school. But the daughter was very, very, very excited about being there. But representatives from the school system, RPS, was there with us, and we had to go find them because we're all over the neighborhood to come and have a conversation with the mom. And I think that was great. This is how we're going to get you connected and get your daughter connected back into the real, the rhythm of things as we start to open up. And so we're asking that if anyone is out there who wants to come join us, to actually walk in these communities and just knock on doors and be a part of the community, that this is something that's a great effort for us to start reintroducing ourselves and letting people know that, hey, we're back open and let's move forward together. Okay. So, any questions about the crime stats? You're up.
Chief, if violent crime is increasing right now, why should Richmonders feel safe?
It is not, we are saying not saying that violent crime isn't going up. We're giving you a depiction of the overall big picture of it. It's going up as compared to the asterisk year 2020, okay? When you look over the trends over the past few years, I think these go back to 2017, you can actually start to see that violent crime from year to date, we're here, but the only other year in which was lower was the asterisk year. So we're giving you a depiction of crime is up, but it's up against very, very low numbers of 2020. But when you take a look at it for the last few years, it's not bad, but it's not what we want. Okay, we want to see if we can drive those numbers down even further. And now that the pattern is starting to present itself, we know there's three things that have to be addressed: proliferation of guns, the mental health and emotional strain on society as a whole, and we have to get trust back into the police again so people can pick up the phone and give us a call. And we already know that a lot of these violent crimes right now, we know that we're looking at young people who are actually doing these crimes as well as being victims of it. So the pattern is starting to present itself to us, so we know where to go, what efforts to do, and who to address. So this is what we're saying. We're saying that crime in the big picture of things, this is what it looks like as compared to last year. Now, there are others who are saying and putting up other things and saying, putting up signs that give the impression that Richmond is not safe to come live, work, play, or do business. This is not what this is saying, okay? This is not, if that was the case, then they should have gone back years ago to some of these other years, and that should have been the message then. Yes, sir.
You talk about improving relationships with the community. Can you talk a little bit more about that, and kind of where do you think things stand right now, like a year after all the unrest with relations with the community right now?
It's ongoing. Relationships with the community is, it's an ongoing feat. It's something that you can never, ever, ever take your foot off the pedal. I think there was a disconnect there in some years in policing where we depended on CompStat a little bit too much. Getting back to the basics of what community policing is, community-oriented policing, community problem-solving policing. These are some of the things that we're starting to build our capacity up again to actually do. And we are starting that with these walkthroughs and doing the grassroots effort one by one place after another, just to let people know that, hey, we are here for you, and we always have been here for you. You know, and also I will say too that speaking about the the CRB and the work that continues, they have not made any recommendations with that as well too. We are there to collaborate with them. We have always been there collaborating. We'll be there. We've always been available to collaborate with them. And as we do that, we believe that CRB is a way, and we get it the right model, the correct model that's correct for Richmond. It's a way to help build trust. We have civilians who can take a look and see, hey, this is exactly what took place, this is exactly what happened, and that builds trust. That builds trust. Yes, sir.
Talking about the CRB, do you support a CRB?
I've always supported CRB along with subpoena powers from day one. I think on my first day here that someone may have asked me that question. Okay? Yeah, but yeah, good question though.
You mentioned some folks putting up some signage or an illusion that Richmond is unsafe. Can you talk about those specific allegations? I think that came from your police officers.
Which ones are you referring to? What police officers?
The RCOP.
RCOP is not part of RPD. RCOP's not part of RPD. RCOP is the one who put that up, but they're not.
The president of RCOP is a Richmond police officer.
Yes, he is, but he is not representing himself. When he represents RPD, he should do RPD. But when it comes down to RCOP, he's a member of RCOP.
Sure.
Okay?
But is that the sign you're alluding to when you're talking about folks putting up signs?
That is a sign that's up, yeah. I mean, you put that on the highway, you're telling people basically that the city's unsafe. You know, and public safety it referred to, so it also pointed to efforts with the fire department as well too.
Sure.
Your hand went up?
Chief, do you think the department is adequately staffed and funded right now? And if not, do you think that's had any impact on crime in the city?
Are we adequately staffed? We are understaffed, but that is nothing different than any other urban police department across the country. You can see staffing that is up in some of the rural areas, but when it comes down to the major cities and large cities such as Richmond, staffing is down. Crime is also going up, and crime is going up because of those three reasons. The more officers that we have, the more that we could actually use officers to do more engagement, more community policing to help rebuild that trust. But if we had more officers, we would still address those three issues right now that we see that are causing crime to go up. And also that other issue of we know who's being victimized and who's committing the crimes. We would do more engagement with that youth out there. So, but when it comes down, there was another part of your question, I believe?
Funded and staffed.
Yeah, well, funding. We know the question of funding right now. When it comes down to funding throughout the city, it's a very, very dire situation. Not dire, that's the wrong word to use, but we know that the budget is not where we would all want, okay? Not only just the police department, the fire department, all the other departments under the city umbrella. But when it comes down to that funding, you know, we would like to, you know, thank the administration for hearing us when we got 2-step increases that will be coming for our officers that are in October. We also like to thank the City Council for their proactive effort to take the time out to fund a study to see exactly where compensation needs to be for our officers to make sure those numbers are correct and right. I believe that they are doing it the right way to make sure that our compensation of officers is where it needs to be, and that it is not only that it's done by a third party, and that it's done by with the ability of our officers to be able to have their voice actually be heard, to say what they think their compensation should be. And then we're talking about highly qualified professional individuals who can actually speak to what they would like to see in a compensation package for themselves.
Quick follow-up, do you think if you had, if you were adequately staffed, that crime would be lower in Richmond?
Don't have a crystal ball. I could just go back to what I told you before, that, and I think I don't know if adequate is the right word, but that we would have, our staffing levels were higher. We would put that staffing towards some of those three things that we know are affecting violent crime at this time. All right?
Just a quick one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Her question, do you think the Richmond Coalition of Police is undermining your message of trying to build trust within the city? There's big billboards saying that the city...
They just put one up by the police department that said, basically says that, but it basically brings into question the quality of the police officer that is working here at the Richmond Police Department. I mean, I think they just insulted my officers, okay? They are qualified, highly qualified professionals, and they also have a city and a city council that is taking the time out to get their compensation to where it should be, to take a look at it, to study it the correct way. But and yet they put up a billboard that calls into question are they qualified? I think that's insulting. I think I'll just put it to you straight. There's no other way to say it. And then they also put that other billboard up that brings the safety of the city into question. Public safety, police, fire, medic, you know? I think that's a problem. If they're willing to help, then they should help, okay? But right now, it looks like they are pushing their own self-fulfilling, or hope to have a self-fulfilling philosophy or whatever they're pushing for their own reasons. You know, there are other potential unions out there. The FOP is not putting up those signs, okay? PBA is not putting up the signs. There are other potential unions that could come to Richmond that aren't doing that.
Is your presentation?
His hand went up first.
Would you be willing to meet with them, I guess?
We've met with them before. So I'm not quite sure what they would want to meet about moving forward, okay? But, yeah.
Is your presentation today directly addressing that billboard?
It touches on it, but I would say no. It's addressing crime. You saw what it was. It didn't say, this is a report to the community, not a report to ARCOP. All right, anything else?
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, appreciate it.